A beautiful morning to everyone listening to us. Good morning, wonderful listeners. Good morning, IBADAN beyond. You're tuned into the one and only I-FLIER 103.3 FM, the perfect choice station for the I-FLIERs and for our city, your city. And this is Press Drive, a trusted daily guide through the headlines, highlights, and hidden gems across Nigerian newspapers. I am MARVELLOUS SOBALOJU, OYEDELE, and I will be steering the wheel this morning as we cruise through the biggest stories shaping our nation, our states, and our communities. Alright, so from politics to policy, economy to entertainment, and society to scandal, we are going to break it down, serve it hot, and keep it real. Whether you're home, in traffic, or in the market, or you're just enjoying a quiet morning, we say thank you for joining us this morning. Grab your favorite drink, probably a coffee. The weather is cool. You can settle in and let's get into the papers. Alright, so good morning once again. This is Press Drive and we're live on Facebook. On Facebook is at I-FLIER 103.3 FM live. Drop your comment right there and we'd love to read from you this morning. I'm sure you already know today is the 21st day in the month of October 2025, and starting the headlines from the Guardian newspaper for this morning, we have this headline: Free Nnamdi Kanu, chaos as police disperse Abuja protesters, southeast shut down for Kanu. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Teenager arrested for allegedly removing sister's eyes for money withdrawal. That's on page 8 of the Guardian as well. And on NSAS, police reforms linger as Nigerians demand justice 5 years after. That's on page 5. NAD strike looms as 30-day ultimatum to federal government enters final week. That's on page 3. Resolve dispute with ASU or face nationwide strike, NLC warns federal government, and that's on page 5. Nigeria needs new constitution, not amendment, Olanipekun tells National Assembly, and that's also on page 5. Unions, NIMET workers vow aviation sector shut down today over poor wages. That's also on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Nigeria under sustained attack from foreign propaganda, says federal government, and that's on page 3 of the same paper. Also on page 5, sustained momentum, Tinubu tells judges as EFCC net 500 billion naira and convict 7,000. That's on page 5 as well of the Guardian paper. And from the Punch this morning, ADC warns against political witch hunt in coup probe. Alright, I take that headline again. ADC warns against political witch hunt in coup probe. That's on page 7 of the Punch paper. Labour gives federal government 4 weeks to end varsity crisis. That's on page 2. And on Free Nnamdi Kanu, protest wave hits Abuja, paralyzes southeast state. Abuja protesters tear gassed, villa forfeited, federal government workers barred, southeast locked down. That's also on page 2 of the Punch paper. National Assembly mourns Army commander, soldiers killed by Borno terrorists, and that's on page 3. On page 4, arraignment of Obi of Lagos, others told. Arraignment of Obi of Lagos, others. Shinubi honored by family, clergy, media giant at 70th birthday Thanksgiving. That's on page 40 of the Punch paper. Away from the Punch and now to the Nigerian Tribune, here are the headlines therein. An alleged forgery, PDP dismisses secretary signed letters, attended meetings. PDP crisis, a family affair, coming from Adeleke All of those on page 15 of the Nigerian Tribune. Stop ongoing process on amendment to 19 Assembly. Stop ongoing process on amendment to 1999 Constitution. Olanipekun tells National Assembly. As right as says, Nigeria later needs transition period till 2031 for a referendum on new constitution. Right, that says Nigeria needs transition period till 2031 for referendum on new constitution. That's on page 15 of the Nigerian Tribune. NLC other varsity unions gives federal government 4 weeks to resolve ASU crisis. ASU, SANU, NASU, NAT, ASUP, South Vice Chairman. That's on page 16. Relief as price of cooking gas drops to 1,200 naira per kg. Relief as price of cooking gas drops to 1,200 naira per kg. That's on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune paper. Free Nnamdi Kanu security operatives fire tear gas, disperse protesters in Abuja. Right, you get to check that story from the Nigerian Tribune on page 4. As schools, markets, shops, banks shut down in Anambra, Enugu, Ebonyi, Imo. Court activities paralyzed. Hearing in police suit against protesters affected. Police in show of force in Lagos. APC blames opposition leaders over protest. All of those on page 4. And on page 3 of the same paper, Nigeria now has 301 universities. It's on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. And from the Daily Trust paper, we have these headlines. Road crashes killed 3,433 persons in 9 months. Road crashes killed 3,000 for C. NLC to government resolve issues with ASU. Others in 4 weeks. That's on page 45. And on page 15, convention, Iron will willingly signed all document to of the Daily Trust paper as well. These are the major headlines making the rounds from our dailies this morning, and now is the time for us to go into details of some of them. Don't forget we're live on Facebook, 3.3 FM Live. Okay, so drop your comment right there. I would love to read from you this morning. Some of the news we get to talk about is the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest that happened. How many things seems to be paralyzed. We get to talk about that this morning, and also we also get to talk about the statement made by Olanipekun as it tells National Assembly to suspend Constitution Amendment and seek referendum. We get to check that as well this morning. And this one from the NLC giving federal government 4 weeks to resolve education sector crisis. We also get to address that as well. And shockingly, just this morning, we heard that fuel price has refinery. We also get to talk about that this morning. And in the same vein, gas has now reduced a little, of course, to 1,200 naira per kg. Once again, good morning and welcome to Press Drive. With me in the house is Barrister Folusolapo. Good morning, sir.
Yes, be our brother's keeper by doing the needful things that will not affect us negatively. Good morning this morning.
Thank you very much for that. So let's start with Free Nnamdi Kanu. Protest wave hit Abuja, paralyzes Southeast state. A coordinated wave of protests demanding the release of the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, swept through the Federal Capital Territory and several Southeast states on Monday, disrupting commercial activities and grounding transportation. Monday's demonstration, convened by activist and former presidential candidate Omoyele, leader of the Revolution Now movement, also triggered heavy deployment of security personnel around key government facilities, including the 3-armed zone, home to the Aso Rock Villa, Presidential Villa, the National Assembly, and the Supreme Court. In Abuja, dozens of protesters were forcibly dispersed by security personnel who prevented the crowd from advancing towards the villa. Access roads around the 3-armed zone were also condoned off, and federal civil servants were temporarily barred from entering key ministries for several hours. The diversion caused widespread agencies condoned off the premises and major routes across the central business area. It was observed that Yakubu Gowon Crescent, Asokoro, leading into the premises was barricaded by Toyota Hilux at the entrance and exit. A security personnel told newsmen that the increased deployment was to ward off protesters. It's because of the protest they gave us strict orders not to allow just anybody to enter today. Those are the words of the official. At 6 a.m. on Monday, combined team of positions at the strategic locations, sealing off access roads to the 3-armed zone. Stop and search operations were intensified, and movement around key government institutions were heavily restricted. Senior civil servant with official road with advisories warning civil servant to seek alternative route. Security patrols were also intensified around Eagle Square, the Federal Secretariat, and the National Assembly Complex, which anti-riot police and armored personnel carriers were stationed to prevent possible convergence by protesters. The protests were part of the renewed call for the federal government to comply with court orders directing Kanu's release. The IPOB leader, arrested and extradited from Kenya in June 2021, remained in the custody of the DSS despite multiple rulings granting him bail. Kanu supporters have consistently raised concern over his deteriorating health, urging the government to free him to undergo medical treatment. The federal government, however, maintained that Kanu faces serious charges bordering on treasonable felony and terrorism. Showore, who has remained vocal about human rights and government accountability, said the demonstration aims to draw attention to what he called a blatant disregard of the rule of law. In the days leading to the protest,
well, thank God. This is one of the beauties of democracy, and I am always very happy when such things, come. An order of court, restricting the protesters from some specific places, and to this moment they have never shown the public that court order. A court order is a public document, so if you have a court order, I have the opportunity to watch him with Sheon yesterday, and Sheon asked a pertinent question, and that is to the extent to which all those barricaded areas, there are hospitals around some of those places. What if there is an emergency? What happened? So you are at the side of the people. At least the Constitution says, the laws, the Police Act especially says that the police, whenever there is a protest, the police should protect the protesters. So all these ones that are telling us every time that so that the thugs will not sneak on, that means they are not doing what exactly they were paid to do. The Constitution, the law says they should protect the protesters, not to tear gas them or kill them, even in most instances. So the Nigerian police should at least, in fact, Mr. Udeyin said the thesis of Mr. IG for his his doctorate thesis was on protest. Then I think he should be able to manage things better than just condoning roads off and hold-ups everywhere and all that. Now, coming to the real issue of the case, that is Nnamdi Kanu. I think what is good for the case is also good for the government is not doing well. So if they want to free Nnamdi Kanu, let them free him. If they want to if they will should
be swift now.
Swift and let everybody are protesting that he should be freed. Whatever is whatever the federal government said that his situation is different. He said this is that. It's not different. Somebody is selling Nigerian ammunition to Boko Haram. Boko Haram is an enemy of Nigeria. So and you are selling the Nigerian ammunition to them. And presidential amnesty or whatever it is, he was given presidential pardon. So to that extent, let Nnamdi Kanu to go home and let every other person that offended or that has been put to jail for one offense or the other, let all of them go now, because I do not see any reason why a drug peddler, a kidnapper, somebody that embezzled their state money and everything, giving presidential pardon, and somebody that's just so somebody things should be done the right way. If somebody that is selling ammunition to Boko Haram street, then let Nnamdi Kanu to be. It's not every time you begin to shoot. Nigerian police is more of a government police, because when you are telling us that you cannot protect, the law says that you should protect protesters, not to intimidate them, and not to people will be afraid of going out, because the Nigerian police are saying things. They are saying we are ready for them. Why should they be like that? It's not. It shouldn't, because the law says they should protest. They should protect the protesters. Simple. And Sean to need the interpretation.
With all of the armored tank, it does not look as if they were there to
play. That anytime there is a protest in Nigeria, it is war.
It's war,
and it shouldn't be war. And we've seen in several countries now. In fact, that of yesterday, there are even very few, and the whole city of Abuja was shut down, almost shut down. You see.
He said, and I quote, "The National Assembly should, for the time being, stay action on the ongoing amendment or any further amendment to the 1999 Constitution. This constitution needs a new spoken Monday while delivering the 13th convocation lecture of AFDE, Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti, titled Nigeria Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow, Imperative of a Sober and Definitive Recalibration." He argued that the 1999 Constitution, which he described as a military abatus imposed on Nigerians, had outlived its usefulness and legitimacy. The senior advocate said that he had, since the 1999 Constitution was midwifed and become operational under the General Abdulsalami Abubakar military regime, been part of the vanguard advocating a people-oriented constitution that would emerge from public
force with that, and I've been campaigning about that.
Please explain referendum. I'm trying to remember what I was taught in government. Like, is it like a direct vote or something? I can't remember exactly.
They vote yes or no. Say yes or no. Do you want? When we amend this constitution piecemeal, and we are still yet not to get it. Why is that? Because even the constitution itself, the constitution we are using now, is a product of lie. It lies against Nigeria. Yes, in the introduction it said, "We the people of Nigeria, having given us ourselves this constitution," we the people of Nigeria did not give that constitution. That constitution.
Oh.
It was a decree of military. In fact, it's a schedule to a decree of 1999, Abdulsalami decree. So it was not the people that gave it to us. It's not us that gave it to us. So it is the military that gave it to us. And there are several provisions in that decree that appears to be anti-people. So for us to have what lawyers call autochthonous decree, that is a constitution. That is a constitution that came from the people itself. There have to be a constituent assembly, or what is called sovereign national conference, where all Nigerians, as represented by their people, they vote for some people that they should go to that assembly to discuss everything about this country, the type of government they want to operate, the type of state they want to have, whether it's going to be regionalism, whether it's going to be parliamentary type of government, a whole lot of things that they are so they will discuss everything in their air conditioned room and everything by the representative grand known, the grandfather of all laws of that country. So, and that is what we do not have. We had that in the 1954 Constitution, for instance. I think the 1990, yes, the reason people revolt against 1945 or 46 Richard Constitution was because there was no referendum. The Macpherson Constitution of 1954, there was referendum to that. And the Republican Constitution of 1963, that was referendum. So it's Constitution of the people, and that was why it appears that the First Republic was more a Nigerian thing than what we have now. Each of the regions were allowed to rule themselves the way they like. The northern region were ruling themselves according to began to rule themselves the way they like. So, and that is why they were able to achieve that much. Today we continue to say that there was a granite pyramid in Kano. Today we say the first television station in Nigeria, in Africa, the first stadium in Africa, the first what is it again? A whole lot of skyscraper in Africa, and a whole lot Western region. And those monies were just income from them. It's not from the federal government. It's not now that governors have to go to Abuja cap in hand to collect some stipend that they call allocation every month. No, each of those regions, the premiers have to sit and think outside. But what happened in 1960, we've not been getting it, because rather than what we have, in fact, all the constitutions we have in Nigeria, especially since 1946, has been constitutions that were then to that extent we might not get it, because you cannot put something on nothing. Later above it, renew. You understand that? You understand?
Yes, that? I do. Yes. Resolve education sector crisis. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and its affiliate unions in the education sector, the federal government to resolve all lingering issues affecting the sector, warning that failure to do so will trigger a nationwide workers' action. The NLC and the unions also declared a no pay, no work instance in response to the federal government's no work, no pay policy, following the ongoing 2-week warning strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. The unions involved include the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, Non-Academic Staff Union of Education and Associated Institutions, National Association of Academic Technologists, Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Polytechnics, Academic Staff Union of Research Institutions, and the College of Education Staff Union, among others. Speaking after a joint meeting in Abuja yesterday, NLC President Joe Ajaero said the unions had resolved to act as a united front to end the government's persistent breach of agreement and neglect of the education sector. The NLC, after extensive deliberation with the unions and the tertiary institutions on finding solutions to the problems in that sector this year, he noted that the unions agreed to establish a framework for engagement on the implementation of existing agreements, sustainable funding of education in line with UNESCO's 25-26% budget staff. We discovered that those government officials sent to meeting often go there without mandates. Henceforth, no trade union, whether in tertiary institutions or elsewhere, will go into any meeting with government representatives who lack authority to bring binding commitment. You go and finish a negotiation, sign an agreement, and then go back to renege. Never again, he declared. This is plenty forces. What the unions, they came together. Alongside NLC.
It's good they came together, but what they came together for is not the best.
Okay.
There is this portion of the scripture that is the pin has fallen down from the hand of a leper. So what is needed only is deliberations. And do that. Invite the stakeholders for a meeting. So in that meetings, and at the end of the day, there will be a framework for the actualization of the end of the day. When they will start afresh again, it's like we are starting afresh. All these fights, labor today.
Need more fun? Handing Nightclub opens every Saturday at 11 p.m. with maximum security guarantee. Handing Event and Hotelplace.com. On Instagram at Handing Hotels. Call us on 0705-442-2968. Handing Hotels and Event Place, the perfect relaxation spot.
0705 500 1033 0905 444 1033 0705 500 10 decision this morning. Olawumi Okbarinde from the Facebook page says, good morning, Ma, and well done. Thank you so much. And Alowole Wasi says, thank you, well done. Thank you so much, sir. Imafo J. Peter says, good morning, everyone in the studio.
To be Democrats, we are not the law. It's not an hypocrite. We call on the lawyers to intervene this matter. This government is bringing up fundamental human rights. I'm challenging the Abacha era. Thank you.
Thank you very much, comrade. Barrister, you're asked to Soros. Okay. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Marvelous.
Good morning. Today's a good day. I'm Barrister for Well, thank you, sir. Olado Kolaide says, good morning, my people in the studio. Keep the flag flying. Thank you so much. And Pastor Dr. Mukaila Famewa says, on Kano, justice delayed is justice denied. But yes, this is gross injustice on him. I appreciate that. Let's take more calls. Hello. Okay, please strong colors back. Sweet voice. Thank you so much. I was expecting that actually. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And he sent his greetings to both you and I. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Busuyi, Israel. Jewali says, good morning from Badiku Edewura. Okay. Ibadan. Thank you. And before I take that to Kola Wali, let's take this call. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good morning, sir.
Good morning. This is Tony Olani calling from Majagba Wakada, Ibadan.
You're welcome, sir.
I will be best.
Good morning,
analyst.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I observe that on daily basis, this government is becoming dictatorial, very harsh to people, and even the military is even better. What I want to say, 2027 is just around the corner. When people come out massively to vote, it becomes very, very difficult for politicians to manipulate elections.
Exactly.
Let us come out, vote, and wait, on